Welcome back,
Yahoo!
everyone, to another episode of Play, Pause, Rewind. This is our 58th episode of this show, which is crazy to say. But sorry, we're a little bit late, too. A couple days late. I was out of town, so it was impossible to be on time. Niles, how have you been since our last recording session?
It's me, Niles. I've been good. I've been good. Just been staying busy. You know, yeah, I feel like I've been watching a lot of stuff. I just started Succession, which we'll talk about later too. So that's been very fun to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just like trying to stay busy, see friends, but also make time to dog sit and
Yes, thank you.
do things that I like to do. No problem. No problem. How have you been?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty tired. I've been doing a lot of traveling recently, so it's nice to be back home and sinking back into the routine with like food, exercise, dog, all
Mm-hmm.
that. So, yeah, it's nice to be here longer than 4 days in a row. But
Yeah, you've been zooming across the
I
country. It's
have.
crazy.
I'm very tired. And but this week, and I should say we're working on for the second channel some little mini reviews of things that we haven't both seen, but one of us has seen. So those will be on the second channel at some point soon. John Wick 4, Air, and Tetris, I think, were the ones I was going to try to put together.
Cool.
Which is a little spoilers for what I've watched in the interim. But this week we're talking about the Super Mario Brothers movie, an adaptation of the iconic video game series that follows a pair of Brooklyn plumbers and brothers, Mario and Luigi, as they are sucked into the magical Mushroom Kingdom and must reunite with each other and help Princess Peach stop the evil turtle Bowser from taking over the world, and whatever else he wants to do. The film is directed by Aaron Horvath, Michael Jelinek, and Pierre Leduc, and written by Matthew Fogel. Stars Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, Charlie Day, Keegan-Michael Key, Seth Rogen, and Jack Black. Niles, non-spoiler thoughts first. What did you think overall of the Super Mario Brothers movie?
It's a good one. I really did enjoy it, honestly. I mean, yeah, the cast, you got some great voice actors in here, and we are at the end of the day, we're talking about a kids movie here.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they did a pretty good job overall, because I think when the movie was initially announced, I was like, kind of rolled my eyes again. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, there's just another like cash grab, and it's like, sure, if it is, that's fine, because as long as you deliver a good quality product that's polished, refined,
Mm-hmm.
and speaks to the original, I think, heart of the game too, and brings these characters to life in a way that we haven't necessarily seen before, because Mario and Luigi, I think, throughout however many fucking games they've done now, it's been like, I don't even know the entire list, but they've got
Quite a
probably
lot.
like 10. Yeah, they've probably got like 10 different catchphrases or sayings, and it's like now we finally get to kind of build a little bit of story around them, which was
Mm-hmm.
nice to see. But yeah, I think it was. I've got very positive impressions of the movie we just saw the other day, and it delivers on what it promises to be,
Yep.
which is what a movie should do, like this as a video
Mm-hmm.
game adaptation. What about you, Dylan?
Yeah, so my overall impression of this movie is it is exactly what I expected it to be. I initially, when I heard they were making it, my thought was, is Mario the best video game candidate to adapt to a feature film? I would say no. Forgive me, massive Mario fans, if you feel differently, but I have always felt the Mario games are a little bit story and character light, and I think that's totally fine because gameplay is certainly king in that series. But the trailer looked really cute and fun, and so I got my hopes up a little bit more for it, and it lived up to my expectations. It did not live up to my hopes for what it could have been. I
Mm.
think I had fun for the 90 minutes we watched it. Aesthetically, the art and the animation, I think, translates the spirit of the Mario games very well. But, like we always say, we're talking about a kids movie, and we are. But I had this note down in spoilers, but I'll just say it here. Like, we grew up during we were born halfway through the Disney Renaissance, so we grew up on those films and the height of Pixar. So I think it is a disservice that not just you, but a lot of people are doing, saying, oh, it's just a kids movie, like lighten up critics. It's like, well, no, because kids movies can be superb as well. Like you never hear someone say it's just a kids movie after they walk out of something phenomenal, right? Like people didn't say that about Finding Nemo or The Lion King. It's just a kids movie. It's like, yeah, but it's awesome and great, and everyone loved them. So I think that is an important note to say. It's like, just because it's for kids doesn't mean it shouldn't aspire to be the best thing it can be. And I don't think this was the best it could be. The several jokes made me laugh. I thought it was cute and fun, but there were some things I would have liked to see done better, and I think you agree with that as well. We'll talk more about that in spoilers, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not blown away by anything on display here, and I don't think most people will be, but it's a good time. It's a good enough time, and I wasn't like upset at it. I'm not mad at this movie for the way it turned out, It's just kind of what I thought it was going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, just kind of piggyback on your point, this movie, you basically, Nintendo, when they're coming into this movie, you have two audiences in my mind, at least. It's probably a little bit more than that. You can break it up into a lot of different segments and everything. Marketing mind over here, but you have your new younger fans, like the kids who are like playing Mario games like Super Mario Odyssey, growing up with these games, like they're very new to the franchise, and they're gonna go watch this movie because they're like, Mom, I gotta go watch this. And then you have these longtime adult fans who grew up with all these games. You have these longtime fans who like remember, like I never saw the older Super Mario Bros. Movie that was like 1994.
I haven't either. We should do something on that though.
That would be a fun, like,
it seems like a very interesting film. Like, I've heard it is bad, but it is so fascinating in its like vision that it's
I would
interesting.
I'd be very down to watch that. But you probably have some people who have a little bit of PTSD from that movie, like coming into this. But you
Nintendo had PTSD from that movie. They haven't made a fucking movie since then.
So yeah, with Super Mario Bros, this new movie, the 2023 movie, they have to balance expectations for both these audiences, and that does sound tricky, but I think that they did a good job of it, because there are, like you said, there's some humor in this movie that I think works really well for both audiences. Like there were jokes where I laughed, like that I thought were just really funny, and it was like, it wasn't anything crude or anything, but there was also like moments where it's like, okay, that's clearly a joke for kids or something like that. But you do have to balance those two audiences, and I think that they did a pretty good job.
I'm glad that they leaned more towards the kid audience with this as well, and I think that's very much to be expected. This is made by Illumination Entertainment, and I have not been blown away by anything I've seen from Illumination, honestly. I kind of checked out of the Despicable Me series. Secret Life of Pets was fine. Sing, I think it was called, was fine. Like, I'm just not like, their movies have never like clicked for me in the same way that, and it may just be because I'm older, but I don't think it is actually. But and I'm glad they went with animation this time around. I think that is the right direction to take for adapting a Mario story, because all those characters are so stylized and they have designs that are very iconic. Live action, maybe not the best move for a lot of highly stylized video game characters.
I would agree. And I mean, we maybe it would help to recap our familiarity with Nintendo as well. Like we've done a few video game adaptations throughout our 58 episode run so far. We just did Last of Us, done Arcane, Mortal Kombat, Castlevania. So encourage you guys to go check those out. But I definitely didn't necessarily grow up with Nintendo. I did a lot of PS2 and Xbox growing up, so minimal exposure to that. Like
I had a GameCube and a Game Boy Advance, I think, were the first ones I had. A lot of my friends had N64s because they had older siblings, I think, for the most part. But I think I just missed the N64, unfortunately. But I was a GameCube kid for a long time until the 360 came out. And then I kind of
nice. So you're more Nintendo than I am, I think.
Yes, but I was more. I had Mario Party as a kid, and I played Mario Kart 64 on an N64 emulator on my laptop. So that was my main Mario experience as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my main experiences with Mario as a kid were just Smash Bros.
Smash Brothers too, yeah.
Maybe a tiny bit of Mario, but like I couldn't even tell you which game. Like I did Pokemon on my Game Boy for a long time, and I've just like within the past 4 or 5 years started to dip my toe into the expansive world of Nintendo on the Switch.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I feel like Nintendo as a company is pretty consistent with like these innovative strides and just like trying to make really good polished original products, even if it is just like franchise IP with just Mario, Metroid,
Zelda,
Zelda, Kirby, those characters work for a reason. It's because they put out so many good quality games, and I think that they're just pretty consistent. And there's like I played Super Mario Odyssey like all the way through. I did everything in that game.
Yeah,
I got all the moons, I got everything because I was just obsessed with it because it's just such a fun game. And I know that there's so many other quality Mario games and just like Donkey Kong games to explore because I just know from like everyone telling me and just the gameplay I've seen that there's plenty more to explore. So I think they're one of like my favorite video game companies.
They're definitely more creatively ambitious than Sony and Microsoft are. Like even if an entire console flops, they will just take big risks and big swings, and sometimes that leads to a lot of disappointment, but sometimes it leads to really great things and in like further innovations that pick the company up. Like the Wii was insane.
Yes,
at the time no one else was like trying to do stuff like that, and then the Wii just took the world by storm. Even though we were in the middle of a recession, everybody still managed to buy a Wii somehow.
But gotta make time for entertainment.
Yeah, but and I've also played some of Mario Odyssey as well recently, but I would say for the film, out of the main performers, Jack Black is the funniest part of it by a lot. I think everyone is fine and does their job adequately. Jack Black is clearly having a good time. I loved him on the promotional tour, just going into interviews with a Bowser suit, just sitting there looking completely fucking ridiculous.
He's such a funny dude. I love him. Like he can, like in any movie, I think he's just such a good part. But yeah, I think excelled here for sure.
Yeah, he was clearly having a good time. And a couple narrative complaints. I think one element of it that I would have liked to see a little bit more of is it never feels like truly dire to me. You want to have at the midpoint or the end of the second act, you really want that dramatic low point where all feels like it's lost. And it has the beat where it's supposed to be that, but I don't really feel the depths of any of the characters' despair. So when they like, this is not a spoiler, this is a child's movie that's following this very normal structure. It's like when they ultimately triumph, it does not feel as earned as I think it should, because they never had those low points. You know what I mean?
I would agree. Yeah, I think overall, definitely very positive on this movie. Like the video game translation works very well here. But yeah, there's like small little like complaints that I have that and again, maybe it's just like things that they could have done better, or like things that maybe they're even saving for the sequel to just like expand upon, because they're going to make a sequel because
it's killing it so financially. Yeah,
so it's like, why not? But yeah, small things on like the voice actors, the narrative, the music, the pacing, small complaints, which we'll get into in spoilers. But yes, I think the video game translation was just exceptional here. Like we've talked
for the most part I agree
about this.
Sure.
Like about like Assassin's Creed and how much they fucked up there, and like all these other kind of video game adaptations. But here, like they did a good well of just transitioning like the elements of the video game into a digestible format and something that was entertaining too. Like even the 2D side scrolling animation was just brilliant how they like integrated that.
I thought that was very fun. And I think there were some sequences, like there's a training montage sequence that they put out as a standalone clip in marketing. I thought that was kind of odd, but I liked the other platforming segments that the movie has. It's just that one felt very artificial and strange for some reason.
Yeah,
the music
sure.
didn't help. But I will say my ultimate thoughts on this for a non-spoiler thing is it's cute. If you like Mario, you will probably have an okay time with this. If you have a kid and your kid wants to see it, you and the kid will probably have a really good time with this. If you're like us, it's fine, I think.
You'll still, I think you'll still have a fun time. Like, you know, you'll be like, oh, I recognize that song,
Yeah.
or like, oh, I recognize that voice actor. And
yeah, if you've played Mario
be...
games, but like I'm not going to tell my mom or my sister to go see this. They would not like it. There's nothing there for them.
Yeah, if you're in the mood for a Mario themed story, this is not going to disappoint you.
Sure. Yeah. I agree.
That's the best way you could put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do spoilers for a little bit.
Yeah. And they're honestly, yeah, like we said, you know,
it's not a lot.
Not a lot to spoil here. You know, as the plot develops, we understand that Bowser intends to marry Peach now that he has this superstar thing that he stole from the Penguin Ice Kingdom.
The penguins were
Mario.
Funny.
Yeah, I thought that was a funny bit for sure.
Yeah. All the dramatic music as they're like pelting the enemy forces with their snowballs, and then it does nothing.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, you guys are pathetic. You can't harm me.
I did. One complaint I do have is the superstar. Actually, if you've played a Mario game or whatever, you have an understanding of what the star does. But the movie makes no effort to explain what the star is, why any of the characters want it, what it does. So Bowser having it is insignificant, and we are like, it's a stakes problem, right? Like, we need to establish the stakes of what can he do with the star? What happens if our heroes get it? You know, stuff like that. Just a little bit would be nice. Not everybody who's seeing this has played a Mario game, you know.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And that is a good point, because they took time to explain other things like the power-ups, like very clearly. This is how they work. You got to eat them, and they're mushrooms and all this stuff. And yeah, you get the coin. Like, I mean, I guess they didn't explain everything, but they specifically spent a lot of time like
on the
focusing
mushrooms.
on that. Yeah.
I would argue that the star might be a little bit more important than the mushrooms for the plot of the movie.
Yeah, probably.
I do like that they just have blocks with question marks on them in their world. They don't attempt to translate that into like something that would make more sense diegetically. I don't even know if that's the right word to use outside of music, but I don't care. It's just there are just blocks in the world. I think that was kind of funny. I did also think Bowser's motivation was fun and pathetic.
Yeah, he's just in love with Peach from afar, and he wants to marry her and rule this little, these worlds together.
Yes.
It's just so
with the star.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But then, as the movie goes on, it mainly follows, I think, Mario and Peach. Luigi's captured. They get the support of the Kong Kingdom army to defeat Bowser, get ambushed on the way back to Mushroom Kingdom. And then Mario works with Donkey Kong and Peach to save the day, and everyone has their kind of time in the sun. Luigi even has his time to kind of step up and save everyone.
He has his little Luigi's Mansion bit too, which was fun,
he does. That was a fun little sequence there in the Badlands.
Yes. I agree. That was everything was cute and fun. I liked Donkey Kong and Mario's little dynamic. I like that Peach is not just there to be rescued. She is an active participant, which it has been very funny to watch the conservative sphere figure out what their talking points about this movie were going to be, because leading up to the movie, you see, it was too woke because a woman wore pants and did things, had agency.
Oh, no.
Very bad, very bad. But now the movie is financially successful, and their mantra is get woke, go broke. So now the movie is anti-woke. I don't remember why it is that to them, but it's been fun to watch them flounder because they have no principles and no belief system.
I haven't been as tuned into that.
Good.
Sure.
You're probably healthier.
I prefer not to be, But I appreciated Peach in this movie too. Anya Taylor-Joy, she did a good job with the voice acting.
I thought she
I
was a
couldn't.
little stiff sometimes, but
Sure, yeah, a
fine,
little bit.
you know.
But yeah, obviously in the original games, even like I think the first one, she's just like a prop, basically,
Yeah.
a
Well,
goal for
she's
Mario
always
to
in
save or
another
achieve.
castle, you know.
Yeah, she's in another castle and all that stuff. But yeah, they obviously have given her more agency
Hmm.
over the years, like and especially it's especially true in this movie. Like she's just kind of a badass, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that in this movie that
And
she's
it's
not just like
Luigi that needs to be rescued this time, which I
yes,
think I
yeah,
think works to, give Peach some agency while still having the motivation of rescuing a person. Um, the
mhm.
the only downside of that, I guess, is like Luigi doesn't really do much, and Charlie Day doesn't have a whole lot to work with other than the like psychotic little blue glowy thing that's just like
Mhm.
wishing for the sweet release of death. I thought that was funny, and I'm sure
Yeah,
I'm sure little kids will find that very funny as well. But
yeah, for sure.
mhm. But we mentioned the side scroller action, the little sequence at the beginning and the Brooklyn construction site. I thought was one of the most visually creative little bits of the movie. It's just the camera just recreates the camera perspective of an old school Mario game, and it was cute and fun. And I liked how Mario was like opening all the doors for Luigi because he's more competent, I guess. It was cute. It was a cute little sequence.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I think that they did a good job of adapting those like 2D animations, the side scroller
Hmm.
stuff, uh, multiple times throughout the movie too. Like there's like a whole sequence with like I think at the end with Mario and Donkey Kong like fighting their way up to like Bowser's thing, and it's
Hmm.
just like it does look like a 2D thing, but they're going like kind of looping around and they're both
Right.
going at their own pace,
Hmm.
but it's very much like one side to the next and one side to the next, but they did a good job of just like making that a more of a 3D concept, which was
Yes.
nice to see. And
Hmm.
I liked how they incorporated a lot of elements from a variety of Mario games
Hmm.
too. Like you get I'm not familiar with all the Mario games obviously,
Well,
but
I think it's
you know
mainly Super Mario Brothers
yes,
or Super Mario, Mario Kart, and Mario Party. Um,
exactly.
they didn't have a Mario Party thing, as far as I could tell. That would be kind of funny to see translated into a movie where it's like maybe only one of them can move at a time. You know,
That would
like
be
like
funny.
they're stuck in this area and only one character can. That would sequel. Come on, I'm giving you ideas. Nintendo, do that.
Come on, Nintendo, listen. We're so many ideas over here, but
We're very
yeah, I like
important, and
the
you're definitely
Mario,
hearing this.
and I love the Mario Kart like
Hmm.
sequence too. Like the customization aspect was super cool. Like how they
Hmm.
blended that in of like, oh yeah, we could just build any cart that you want, and it's like,
Yeah.
sweet, that's exactly how it is in the game.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny how the Kongs were just like motorheads. I
Yeah,
like I don't know if that's from the games or not. I think it's kind of stupid, but I thought it was funny. Um I did not This is one example of a needle drop I did not like. I don't think I liked any of them if I'm being honest, but having Thunderstruck play during the car construction, why? Why is
yeah,
this song here? Um is it
that's
because Mario is from the 80s and we're getting a lot of 80s music? Is that the justification for this? Because I don't see another one, and that's not good enough for me.
yeah, I agree. That was one of my few complaints with this movie was that they made this decision to place these disjointed licensed tracks from the 80s
Mhm.
and 90s throughout the movie. Yeah, we got AC/DC during the Mario Kart scene, Bonnie Tyler during the training montage with I Need a Hero. We got
And
Aha.
aha, which another like they're just driving through the Kong City.
Yeah,
Why don't you play some like music from Donkey Kong Country? Or
yeah,
another, like there are so many Donkey Kong games. They all have soundtracks. Use a song from one of
yeah,
them, because when they do orchestral versions of the like Nintendo music, it's really fun. Like at the end when they get the star power, it's the orchestral version of the like
yeah. I
like
love that shit.
that's fun. That's musically like more interesting than just plopping in an 80s pop song that everybody
Hmm.
loves. Like everybody likes I Need a Hero and Take on Me and Thunderstruck. They're great songs,
Yeah,
but why here, you know?
yeah.
Um
Like I don't like. I think the Beastie like there was a Beastie Boys one where it was like no
no sleep
sleep
till
till
Brooklyn. Get it?
Brooklyn. Yeah,
Because
well, like
they're in Brooklyn.
because they're in Brooklyn. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, a little on the nose there, guys, but
Yeah.
fine, whatever.
It's
But
I'd recommend watching Patrick Willems' video, like a comprehensive guide to needle drops, I think it's called. He goes through an extensive amount of movies and talks about like what makes a good needle drop and what makes a bad one. Good watch. It's fun. But this movie, the writers of it should have watched that video. Or not the writers, the editors. Maybe too late.
yeah,
But
they should have figured that out. But yeah, and I agree. The parts where they blended in the Mario music, like even like there's a part where Bowser is playing the piano and he's talking to his little wizard guy, and it's like do 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 do, and it's like that's music from Mario. That's so cool that they like integrated that right there. That was the right choice. But like then yeah, we got these other parts where it's just like, oh yeah, let's bring an electric light orchestra. It's like, what the hell? Why? What?
yeah, and I did love the recurring gag of Bowser being walked in on while he's doing really embarrassing musical stuff. It happens twice, and I love when he slams his little wizard's fingers in the piano, and he just leaves them there, and he's like, "Can I lift it up now?" It's like, no, pain is a good teacher. Like stuff like that was fun. Everything Bowser related was pretty entertaining, I think.
Yeah, Bowser was just so phenomenal. Like Jack Black obviously was just loving this role. And like, what did you think of his love song for Peaches?
Decently fun, I think, compared to a lot of other Jack Black music. Like, no, not as funny, of course, but it seemed like he was having fun singing it, and it is a goofy little song. And
it's fun.
Yeah, it's that's like everything in this movie. It's like fun. It could have used a little polish. But it was, it's good. It's a fun time. I think people are being more harsh on this movie than is necessarily warranted, but I think most of the criticisms are pretty valid as well. It's like I'm in that weird middle ground with it. Because like I didn't love it, I'm probably never gonna watch it again.
Yeah, me too.
But I had fun with some of the things. I like the little Mario Kart sequence on the Rainbow Road. Although I think it is hilarious that Cranky Kong, is that his name? Fred Armisen. His secret passage is apparently just a well-known landmark because Bowser's people are like, they're taking the secret passage. It's like, the secret passage. It's like, well, ain't that fucking secret then, is it? If everybody in the world knows it's there.
Right.
That sequence was really fun. They were like shooting the little bullets at each other. They had the bananas. Mario Kart shit. There was a blue shell stuff. References everywhere. But
so many good references just woven in so well. But yeah, like it seems like everybody in this world, except or at least Bowser, he understands where everyone is at every point, but everyone also knows the geography of this world, the secret passages. It's just like Mario Kart. You know where the shortcuts are if you've played it enough.
Okay, sure. That's fair.
Anyone can find them, but you just need to know where they are. But it's YouTube exists. You can find them.
You know what I did like about the Mario Kart sequence, though? Another thing is when he decides to jump from one track to the other to like have a shortcut, because that's the thing that everybody tries and mostly fails to do on Rainbow Road, including me. I mostly miss it. I'm not that good at Mario Kart. I'm worse at Beerio Kart.
Everyone's worse at Beerio Kart.
Our friend, one of our friends, I almost said his name, but we try not to do that, is very good, and it makes me very mad.
Yeah.
Remember I made a rule
every time.
Well, I made a rule, Niles would remember this, but when we're all playing together, some of our friends would just shotgun the beer at the start, and I made a rule not allowing that because I can't do that, one. And two, for those of you who don't know, the rules of Beerio Kart are you want to win the race, but you have to finish your beer by the time you finish the race. But you can't drink and drive. So if you want to drink your beer, you have to pull over and drink the beer. And I think it ruins the spirit of Beerio Kart if you drink the whole fucking beer before the race starts.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's about strategy. You have to decide when is a good time to pull over and drink beer.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good lesson on drinking
Mhm.
and driving too. Just
Well,
shotgun the beer before the race. No, please
no,
don't drink and
we
drive.
do not endorse drinking and driving.
We are
Ubers and
not.
Lyfts are very affordable, and you should take them. Um,
Hmm.
but
But
or yeah, take it from never mind. We're not gonna go into that.
yeah, let's just keep going.
Yes.
Yeah, I think overall, yeah, this movie is pretty good. And it delivers on what it promises to be. I just have a few complaints, and we already talked
Mm-hmm.
about one. It's the music. My
Yes.
next issue, I would say, is pacing a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. And to preface this, I will say overall, I think the pacing works very well. You get they did a good job of bouncing around from one
Mm-hmm.
character to the next. You get Luigi's getting captured, and then you move on to someone else, and then you move on to Bowser, and it moves really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not slowing down too much, so that's fine with me. However, I think that there are areas of this movie where it just didn't let itself breathe.
Okay. Yeah.
It just didn't like it could have slowed down. It was just trying to move on to the next part really
Mm-hmm.
quickly. Like the main example that I have for that is one of those montages actually.
Mm-hmm.
Peach and Mario, they depart for their adventure,
Yep.
and we get a minute long adventure,
Mm-hmm.
which is just a montage of them like traversing these cool worlds from the games. You get the
Yep.
desert world from Odyssey with the inverted floating pyramids. You get,
Mm-hmm.
I think there was Yoshi Island, like these little uh,
Okay. That
like
yeah.
animals racing by, and they're like at this kind of cloudy area, but like we only get like 10 seconds per frame there, like
Mm-hmm.
really quick. And I think that's one of those moments in the film where they could have just paused a little bit and maybe even just allowed like just a few, like another minute or two, even for the adventure to breathe. And I understand you could only fit so much into a 90-minute film,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to prioritize the necessary narrative
Yeah,
elements over
they kind of want the
filler.
greatest hits in the movie,
Exactly.
I think. But I agree that's
Yes.
to the movie's detriment. Like that because now that it is financially successful, they will have more opportunities to do this stuff. And I agree. Like just a scene where Mario and Peach talk on their
Mhm.
journey, like all these like Ice Age has a montage sequence and stuff like that. But we get
Yes. Yes.
plenty of character development between the people of the herd there. And then like Shrek. Like Shrek has those travel montages too, but we get plenty of character moments in that. And I agree, it's missing that. And I think thinking about it while we've been talking, the biggest problem this movie has is there is no internal or conflict with like between the heroic characters at all,
Mm.
except for Mario and Donkey Kong, who don't like each other for a little bit and eventually like reconcile that by working together. That's probably why that's the best dynamic in the movie, because they actually have growth with each other.
Hmm.
Like Donkey Kong grows as a person throughout the movie, but like there Mario and Peach meet. She's instantly on board with helping him. She wants him to like come on this journey with her and is very patient with him while he trains and does the whole course. Why?
Yeah.
And why is there not a moment halfway through the movie where they have a disagreement and they fall out for a little bit and then they have to come back together and set aside their difference and stuff like that? Like there's no friction between them.
Hmm.
Mario and Luigi have no friction between each other, and Toad is just fine with everybody. And like, so there's nothing for our characters to do with each other while they're adventuring around, right? So
Hmm.
they just get to where they're going, they do the thing they need to do, and they get to the next place until
Yeah.
Bowser kidnaps Peach. And that's the only low point. Like that's the like the dark night of the soul moment, I guess, of this movie. But it's like too little too late. And there's no like let's say Mario and Peach had their little falling out and they get
Hmm.
separated. And that's when Bowser sweeps in. It's like, oh no, if Mario was there, he could have helped or something. If
Yeah.
there's just not, so he has to step up at the end and really like save the day. Stuff like, movie stuff.
Yeah. Like small little things that would have made us connect with these characters more and give
Mhm.
them some depth. But yeah, like uh, I think that they could have taken a moment to slow down at some points and yeah, add some more complexity there. But
Mhm.
certainly doesn't help that there's not much narrative to go on anyways, and they're kind of like as opposed to like The Last of Us, which we reviewed just very recently, where you have a mountain of just lore and a story and so much stuff to get through. Mario, on the other hand, you have plenty of games, but yeah, he only says like 10 phrases throughout the whole thing. You know, he's
right.
like there's
just in terms of adaptation, you mean like it's
yes, in terms of adaptation, they don't have much to go on. Like Mario stories are literally like, yeah, just go save the princess in the
your
castle.
princess
go
is
from
in
world
another
to world.
castle is the story of Mario. Yeah,
that's the story of Mario. So yeah, and I think one of my other complaints was just a little bit of the voice acting. I think overall, I'm pretty satisfied with a lot of these voice actors. I think when they announced the cast, I had a very similar reaction to everyone of like, ew, Chris Pratt as Mario, what the fuck? But you know, I thought he worked pretty well, honestly.
Fine.
Like,
yeah, because like people forget he's the main guy in the Lego movie. Like he's done voice acting work that people have enjoyed before. It was I remember people were worried about like, is he gonna be Italian or not? And it's but apparently I did not know this until recently. Mario originally was from Brooklyn. It wasn't until the N64 games that he became Italian. So you know, a little trivia. I didn't either. But also they do the Italian voice for the little commercial. They make a joke out of it. I think it's more clever than what people were thinking they were going to do. People, I think, for the most part, thought it was going to be like he enters the movie and says something in his classic, like, it's a me, Mario. And then he like goes like, oh, that's better.
Yeah.
That like people thought it would be that. And that's so played out. So this was a little funnier. And that said, though, I don't know if I needed the real world Brooklyn stuff.
It was fine, but yeah, it's like it didn't add too much context to the story. Like I would have been fine if he just existed already in these other worlds or something like that. So going back to the voice actors, I think overall, yeah, they did pretty good job. There was just two voices that pulled me out a little bit.
Yeah.
And the first was Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. And it just kind of pulled me out because once I recognized his voice, I just couldn't picture. It just kind of lost. I couldn't buy it anymore. And
I thought it was very funny, but I hear what you're saying. I get it.
His delivery is so fucking funny. There was like one line, and you and I were both just dying for a minute.
Yeah, we had a couple like actual laughs in the movie, which I wasn't expecting. I think we were the only ones, though. I don't think anyone else in the theater like laughed as hard as we did at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, I thought that was just so funny once I recognized it. It's just like, I could just picture Fred Armisen in the recording studio just making this weird Cranky Kong voice, and it just made me laugh. And then I think, just for me personally, I'm sure other people will disagree, but Charlie Day is Luigi. I think it's just because I'm so familiar with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I've watched that show to death. Yeah. So if I heard him say something, I'm like, that's just Charlie Day. That's just Charlie the Rat King. And I'm just expecting him to say like, Frank, you want to play Nightcrawlers or something? You know, like do some line, like just
he's too associated with another character, and it takes
exactly. And that's probably just me. I'm sure like kids growing up are going to be like, that's Charlie Day, kind of deal. And they're just going to love it. And then I think we already did kind of talk about the narrative complaint. And yeah, again, it's a PG rating movie. It's made for kids and adults, so the narrative can't really be too complicated. But you know, I think it could have just been a little bit more complex. It was a little simple and predictable, but you know, kids, that's what kind of kids movies are. And like we said earlier, Luigi just didn't really have much of a role after he was captured or just like sucked away by that tube. He comes back at the end, but yeah, it's like this movie's called Super Mario Bros. And the bulk of the movie is Mario and Peach doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah, I imagine it's because they wanted to have Peach be a more active participant than she maybe traditionally is. One thing that I think could have worked really well for this movie, though, is a pretty small change in the grand scheme of things, but I think it would affect a lot, is have it so that when they were growing up and everything, it's not Mario who always protects Luigi, it's Luigi who always protects and saves Mario. And I'm sure this breaks some Mario lore or whatever, but I don't really care because I think it would make the movie better. Because have Luigi be worried while he's captured, not for his own safety, but because Mario's out there and he doesn't have Luigi to lean on anymore. And then it would make it so that when Mario saves Luigi from the lava at the end, it's more satisfying because it's like, oh, he's always been relying on Luigi and now he's the one saving Luigi. And they kind of have Luigi save Mario at the end with the little like street grate blocking Bowser's fire breath or whatever, but it just doesn't really land as much because I feel like we've had the triumphant saving moment already, and Luigi's such a minor character that it just doesn't feel as much like an arc. He's just like scared, and then he lifts up the street grate. I feel like it would have worked really well if Mario was always the one who was getting helped and had to learn to fend for himself in order to save his brother.
I get that. That could have been far more interesting. So I like that idea though.
Yeah.
Because I do agree that like there is no
there's no character growth really, no tension. It's just like
thank you.
Mario is always saving Luigi, and at the end of the movie, he saves him again. The only thing that really changes is their dad is disappointed in them, and at the end of the movie he's like, my sons did it.
Yeah, hey, it's a big celebration in Brooklyn. Hey, we're alive, thank you for saving us from this terrible turtle.
Yeah, but they do kind of destroy Brooklyn at the end a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's an okay kids movie. I would say it's a mid-tier kids cartoon movie. We were spoiled as children. We probably grew up in one of the best eras for children's animated films.
Yes.
Because, like, goddamn, there were so many amazing movies that came out when we were kids.
Oh my God. Lilo and Stitch, The Incredibles, like
Lion King,
like
Mulan,
Bug's Life.
Like,
Mulan.
Bug's Life, Toy Story, all of the Toy Story movies, like
Toy Story,
Nemo. Like we came from a very specific era, and Shrek. How could we forget about Shrek? Shrek was great.
Can't forget about Shrek.
No. I mean, Shrek rides that for kids and for adults line very perfectly at like on the more adult side. Because Shrek has a lot of like sex humor in it.
Yeah, it does. You think he's compensating for something?
Yeah. Donkey.
Yeah. We were just spoiled, and I mean, yeah, kids today, they certainly do have some good movies out there for them.
I mean, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish just came out.
Yeah,
great movie. It's very good. And the animation in it is pretty stunning. Not as good as like Into the Spider-Verse, of course, which also kids today have, which is another great movie. But it's like that's why I don't want to like let the movie off the hook for just being okay because it's a kids movie, because like there are kids movies coming out today that are excellent, and movies should aspire to be excellent, But I had fun. And that's
had fun.
What matters for this. Would I have wanted it to be 10 minutes longer? No. It was perfectly fine the way it was at length.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. Any longer than 90 minutes, I would have been like, nope, that's not for me. But it was the perfect length. And yeah, exactly. If you are a Mario fan or a Nintendo fan, I think you're going to like this film.
Yeah. And with that, let's jump into some of the other stuff we've been watching. Yahoo! What about you? What have you been looking at the last couple weeks?
So like I mentioned at the top of the podcast, we first started, I started Succession, and I actually need to go back and rewatch the first episode because when I started it, I joined my girlfriend on the second episode. So I was a little lost, but I'm picking it up pretty quickly. I think we're like about 5 episodes into the first season. And yeah, it's just, it's way funnier than I thought it was going to be.
It's a comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a dark comedy. but yeah, it's very funny, and yeah, all these characters, they suck, but at the same time, I feel like you're rooting for some of them a little bit. But they all have like these irredeemable qualities too.
Yeah, I
So
mean they're all like rich shitheads. Like, and
Mhm.
it seems like they're meant. It seems like the dad, Brian Cox's character, is meant to be a Rupert Murdoch type. It seems
Yeah.
like the network they own is a Fox Media type of deal, right? So
Hmm.
hate them for that. But I'm also watching it right now. I think I'm a little bit behind you. But I'll do mine in a second. You got anything
Yeah,
else?
no worries. And then I've finally gotten to season 3 of Attack on Titan.
Nice.
Um, and I checked like how many episodes are left, and I think I'm not even halfway through at this point, because I think there's 88 episodes, and I'm like
Something like that.
44-ish
Mm-hmm.
now. So I'm like
Okay.
just about halfway, and I'm like, oh my God, there's still so much more.
Yeah.
So that might
What
be a
part?
good.
What's happening in it now?
So it's more about like the coup. The coup just happened in
Oh, okay.
the capital.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron, yeah, I don't want to give away too much, but yeah, Aaron and uh, Krista, I believe
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
her name is. Yeah, they're like taken right now. So
Oh,
it's
okay. Yep.
this season definitely feels like it's a lot about like political intrigue
Mm-hmm.
and giving our characters more backstory, which I'm very much into. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
do miss the Titan action, but at the same time, I'm like,
It
yes,
comes back.
please give
Don't worry.
give me more of Captain Levi. I love this guy. Give me more of
So funny.
Erwin. Like, they're all
Mm-hmm.
just so good. But that's kind of been it for me. What about you? What have you been up to lately, Dylan?
Like you, I've been watching Succession. I think I started it before we recorded our last episode, but since I've been out of state so much, I haven't had a whole lot of time to watch. So I think I watched last episode I watched was episode 4, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna watch more after this. I like it a lot. My goal, I hope, is to catch up and to be able to watch the last couple episodes of the show with everyone week to week. I unfortunately was able to deduce a couple spoilers from the final season, but that is just a hazard of being on film Twitter. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
like I do appreciate how some people, when they're trying to talk about the new episode of a show, are like being vague, not outright spoiling it, but like just using your brain a little bit and being familiar with the property. You're like, oh, I know exactly what you're saying. I was able to put that together, so that's sad. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what you get for being online and watching a show that's been going for 4 or 5 years. But I am also closing in on the end of Heir to the Empire, the Star Wars Legends first Thrawn book, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of appropriate timing because that Ahsoka trailer dropped at
Yeah.
Celebration, and we see Thrawn in that. And I don't want to spoil anything else related to Star Wars, but speaking of Star Wars, our next episode will be on The Mandalorian season 3, but also
Woo.
we are going to do a special thing for May the 4th, Star Wars Day. We're going to do each year, we're going to start doing retrospectives on the trilogies, and this year will be the original trilogy. So stay tuned for that. It may be on the audio feed as well, but it'll definitely be on YouTube. So
Yeah.
we'll figure all that out. But special announcement, wahoo! Heir of the Empire is, I like the back half of it a lot more than I like the front half of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like Mara Jade a lot. She's a fun character. I do still feel like Luke, Han, and Leia are written like they're being written in fan fiction, because they are. Also, Leia has just completely disappeared from the plot of this book, which is strange. Yeah, they need to hide her, so she and Chewie go to Kashyyyk, and I haven't seen them in 150 pages.
Well, that's concerning.
Yeah, hopefully she has more to do in the second and third ones. But I also watched Tetris, starring Taron Egerton, the Apple
Mm.
Plus original movie about the story of how Tetris became a worldwide phenomenon. Actually relates to our story today a little bit because Nintendo was a big part of that. Because Tetris was packaged with the original Game Boy when it was sold. But the movie Tetris, I thought was pretty fun. It had some stylistic choices they were going for that I don't think they either had the budget or the directorial skill to pull off. Directorial or editing skill, sorry. There were a lot of like freeze frame things with like this person is this with title cards. It felt like a Big Short or a Vice style thing, but without the slickness of it. But the story itself is really interesting. It was like Tetris was originally developed by a Soviet government worker just for fun. And it got circulated throughout the USSR and everybody was fucking playing it. And then this guy bought the like global license for it or something and brought it out. And then there was this big legal battle between Mirrorsoft, owned by Robert Maxwell, father of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Shit.
Yeah. And then Nintendo was competing for it as well, and then Sega was just doing it too. But it is an insane like political and corporate shit show. But I'm just gonna spoil real life for a little bit. It has a happy ending. Ultimately, this guy Hank Rogers seems like he was actually a pretty solid dude and wanted Alexei, I forget his last name, but to like get credit, to get his due for making this game. And ultimately, like there were multiple different versions of Tetris sold and distributed everywhere, obviously. But Hank Rogers and Alexei now, they started the Tetris company eventually when Alexei left the Soviet Union. They started it together, and Hank Rogers' daughter runs the company now. So like kind of cool that the original developer of Tetris who did it for fun finally got his due. But the movie's fun. I would recommend watching it if you've got a little bit of time.
Cool.
I also saw John Wick Chapter 4, which I thought was phenomenal and a very satisfying conclusion to the story that we've been watching for the last 4 films. And I'm glad they're ending it. I love the John Wick movies, but after Chapter 3, I was kind of like, we're stretching this premise a little bit far. And 4 did not feel like that at all. It was almost 3 hours long, and it flies by. It's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And I also, this weekend, watched Air, the new Ben Affleck directed movie starring Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Jason Bateman. And it's so fun. It's just a light, entertaining movie about the creation of the Air Jordan shoe.
Legendary.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I talked for a long time about my stuff, but that is all. And next episode will be back on our normal schedule, Wednesdays.
Yes.
The Friday episodes were my fault. I had shit to do. So it just wasn't possible to get them out on time. And we're gonna be talking about Mandalorian.
That's all right.
3. A lot of thoughts, a lot of things to say about that. But we do have 1 episode left.
Yeah. I
you have more. Up. Yeah, you're behind.
For sure.
Yeah, a lot of things to say about that. But until then, where can people find you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at Niles Got No Styles. Dylan, what about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at DylanD1026, on Twitter at D-Day Movies, on YouTube at D-Day Movies, on Twitch at D-Day_movies. You can also find me in the little, I was going to call them Play, Pause, Rewind minis, if that sounds good. We're workshopping the name right now, audience. We'll call them that for now. On the second channel, Play, Pause, Rewind videos. And you can find our YouTube shorts there as well, along with the spoiler-free sections of these episodes. Eventually, they will all be there. They're releasing 2 a week at this moment. And, we're on TikTok as well. Play, Pause, Rewind _podcast. I think all of that's linked down there below where we are. So click that and follow us, subscribe, share, do all of the things that we need you to do as an audience member.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys. Niles has things to say.
I was just going to say thanks for listening.
Yes, that too. Thank you.
We appreciate all our listeners.
Yes, very much so.
But until next week, we will see you guys soon.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.